Do you hear me talking to you? Across the water, across the deep blue ocean, under the open sky. Oh my, baby, I'm trying.
Boy, I hear you in my dreams. I feel you whisper across the sea. I keep you with me in my...
Matilda by Roald Dahl. I have a story for you. This is about an amazing girl who was born in a very nice hospital, very nice neighborhood, but in a very bad family. Yes, that little girl named Matilda. Matilda never beloved by her parents. Yes, her parents never want to have a daughter anymore. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood, didn't care with this young girl. Mr. Wormwood was an old car seller and he was always busy with his business. Mrs. Wormwood, her mother, was a housewife, but she always went outside the house to play bingo. That's why they never know that their daughter is a genius girl. Matilda also has a brother named Michael. Matilda could write her name when she was 1. In 1.5, her speech was perfect and she knew so many words from many sources. By the time she knew that she is very different from her family, she can understand and learn something quickly. She really loves reading, and after she finished reading all books and magazines in her house, she wanted something more interesting and challenging. One day, she asked her father to buy her some books to read, but Mr. Wormwood never listened to her. Oh, so poor Matilda. For that reason, she realized to go to the library almost in every weekday. When she was 4, she always went to the library to read some books. Mrs. Phelps, the librarian, was so amazed when she saw a 4-year-old girl always read some books there without accompanied by her parents. After some time, Mrs. Phelps gave Matilda a library card so she can take some books to be read at home and she can go to the library to return these books. What a poor little girl. Every day, Matilda always got something bad from her parents. Her daddy always said that a girl exists just for be seen, not be heard. Not only that, her parents always called her as a stupid box. Because of that, her anger inside is getting boiled, so she decided to do the revenge every time her parents did bad things to her. In the morning, before her father waked, she slipped to cloakroom and put super glue at her father's hat. Then she acted as normal as usual so her father doesn't suspicious to her. All day long just playing as usual until Mr. Wormwood comes and looks very angry. Mr. Wormwood can't open his hat. They pull his hat as strong as possible, but it's not working. Then Mrs. Wormwood had an idea to cut her husband's lovely hat. It's really hard to make it clean. Everyone can see that some of that hat pieces still adhered at his head, so it looks like so many bugs stay there. There were so many things with good ideas that were done by Matilda. Really, she was a genius girl. Time flies, and now Matilda was 6 years old. Mrs. Wormwood then lets Matilda to get a formal education. Of course, Matilda was really excited to hear that. Then she went to school at the next day. She went to school happily, but wait, when she was arrived at her school, she saw so many children, a big building, and felt a horror atmosphere. Just before she went to the class, the headmaster came and checked the children. The headmaster was a big woman. She was very athletic and strong. His sharp eyes and sharp nose stabbed everyone. She didn't like children, but she was a headmaster. Every time the students break her rule, they will be pushed to a narrow chest with so many nails. Not only that, she also threw the student if she found something forbidden that is done by the student. Her name is Mrs. Trunchbull. In an opposite side, her class teacher, Miss Honey, is a very nice teacher. She always appreciates all students' work. She never got angry and so kind. She introduced Matilda to the class and led her to study. Matilda sits beside a lovely girl named Lavender. When the learning time was begun, Miss Honey started with some questions. It was about mathematics. Then she asked a complex question that everyone can't answer it without count it on the paper. But amazingly, Matilda did. She answered the question in a short time, and it was the correct answer. Miss Honey was so excited to Matilda. She wanted to take care of her and put her in a good university, but when she asked Matilda's parents, they denied it and said that it's just a useless thing to do. A few days later, an important announcement was heard. Everyone had to come to the ballroom immediately. When every student and teachers come, Mrs. Trunchbull announced that there was a thief in that school. This thief stole her care. "Dear Bruce Bogtrotter, come forward," said Mrs. Trunchbull. She said that the boy is a thief and he must be punished. She asked Bruce to eat 200-pound cake, and it must be completed through the day. Everyone had to watch him until the cake is gone. After some time, when Bruce couldn't do it more, Matilda stands up and supports him. Everybody followed her to support Bruce for the consequence that they have to stay at school until 8 p.m. Once, when the Trunchbull came to the class, Lavender put a salamander in a pot. That pot is Mrs. Trunchbull's pot. Just for a second after the Trunchbull sat on the teacher's seat, she said something bad about children. Matilda couldn't let it flow. Then suddenly, when she saw the pot is falling and the salamander came out from it. The Trunchbull was panicked. She screamed like she met a ghost. She yelled and screamed and jumped until the salamander went out from her body. The Trunchbull then called Matilda and blaming her. "It's not me. I didn't do anything," said Matilda. Lavender, who stand beside her, felt guilty, but she afraid to say it. That day is end in a very bad way. After all students leave the class, Matilda told Miss Honey that something happened to her. Of course, Miss Honey didn't believe her, but Matilda proved it. She made something move in front of Miss Honey with her eyes, with just looking at something. And yes, she was very shocked and couldn't say something. Matilda has a power. After knowing about Matilda's power, Miss Honey invited Matilda to come to her cottage. The cottage is very beautiful. There were so many flowers and butterflies there. Her little cottage is very warm with happiness inside. It was really beautiful until Miss Honey told her life story. When she was a child, her parents died for something didn't know. Then she must live with her aunt, and in fact, her aunt was Mrs. Trunchbull. The house that she stayed in it now was a landed house from a farmer. Her real house is the house where the Trunchbull stay now. Listening that story, Matilda asked for some other information that probably will be useful for her. The next day was the day when the Trunchbull will come to the class after the lunch. She has a plan that she will make everybody happy. The information that was received from Miss Honey will be the reaper. When the classes began, the Trunchbull asked all students the 3 times table, but everyone couldn't answer the question. Then she yelled to Miss Honey and said that she taught nothing to the children. Then Matilda used her power to move the chalk and wrote the word Magnus in the blackboard. That was really scary moment. Mrs. Trunchbull thought that was Magnus, Miss Honey's father, who wrote it. Then she fell down and she was really weak. At the time when everybody went out from the class, Matilda blinked her eyes to Miss Honey. Then Miss Honey ran and hugged her. Finally, Miss Honey got everything that was stolen from Mrs. Trunchbull: the house, garden, money, and everything. The next morning, when Matilda visited Miss Honey's house, her parents came and asked her to go with them to Guam. They pulled Matilda's hand, but she said no. Then she ran to her bag and asked her parents to sign the adoption letter she got from the library. As her parents wished, they never want to have a daughter anymore, so they signed the letter and ran away with it. On the other side, Matilda and Miss Honey got a dream. Now, Matilda and Miss Honey live together in a lovely house with so much love inside, and they live happily ever after.
Lucky I'm in love with my best friend. Lucky to have been where I have been. Lucky to be coming.